we've introduced this concept of revenue flow. So I love the HVAC industry. I spent a lot of time reading Reddit and the Facebook groups, and everybody talks about airflow and where are you leaking airflow. And if you don't have airflow, you don't have HVAC. So we talk about revenue flow, and we talk about it as a system of actions. It's like a funnel, but it's really a flywheel because you want the customer coming back. So we look at the total number of leads that come in. We start there. And then we show them the number of match leads, and then we show them the number of booked jobs. The average booked job rate, which is the percentage of leads that turn into a booked job, a paying customer, is 21%. And they say, oh my gosh, you're saying that 80% of my leads are not turning into paid work? And I say, yes, absolutely. Then we look at match rate. We see how well is a lead matching to a new opportunity in the CRM, which tells us the quality of leads. It tells us how well we're handling the leads. And then we look at your average cost per book job. We do not talk about cost per lead. We talk about cost per book job. And then we look at your average ticket. Now, this industry is nuanced. I understand why no one's really done this and done it well. It's because you have open estimates, you have sold jobs, you have closed jobs. You might be booking out 2 weeks. So how do you handle that? What we do is when we look at time periods, like the month of June, we look at the revenue that closed in that month, the revenue that was sold in that month, and the open estimates given in that month. And then we follow the customers through that revenue flow. So if you're an open estimate on June 15th, but you close on July 1st, we show you as closed on July 1st and remove that open estimate. So it's really just thinking about this as a flow. But one of the biggest gaps, and it's monstrous, is that no one is really seeing what is, I see that comment. I love it. Thank you. No one's seeing what's happening on the website. So that's what's unique about us is we built a tracking pixel that goes on the website and tracks every single activity. So while we're displaying a dashboard that shows the revenue flow, if you want to drill into a customer, which I've done before, and I have some good examples of things that happen that might scare people into thinking, okay, we got to really think about this. I can see what pages they go to. I can see what conversion tools they use. I can see how much time they spend on the site. And it just unlocks observation of customer behavior. Are they using Schedule Engine? The answer is yes. And the average ticket is about $2,000 higher. And the average match rate is about 40% higher with that. They're using chat. 75% of revenue comes from phone. But we can watch how customers behave on your website so you can make changes to match that evolving behavior, if that makes sense.
Are these customer behaviors, are they geographically specific, or is this across the entire, say, the US?
It's really interesting you asked that. Yes, we are seeing geographic patterns. For example, we have a phenomenal client in the Pacific Northwest, and it was 2 summers ago or a summer ago, they had a monstrous heat wave, which was pretty unique for north of Seattle. And a lot of people
it's like 75 degrees.
Yes, yeah. No, it was
the sun came out for a day.
Yeah, exactly. But they saw a tremendous amount of demand. I saw something that I have not seen is revenue generated from forms and chats combined were higher than phone calls. I've never seen that. Now, that's not the norm across the United States, but largely we are seeing new customers tend to use the form conversion tool. They tend to use the Schedule Engine conversion tool. They tend to use chat. Phone still dominates at 75% of the revenue that we track, about 50,000 leads at this point. But it is, the general trend is a little more micro, but there are some regions where it's a lot more pronounced.
Billy and I and Josh were talking about this back whenever they had the great freeze in Texas, and they had to turn their phones off.
Yep.
And it was all leads coming in through their websites. And for a long time, like that's where they were generating a ton of their leads were through their website, which I like that. For me, it takes some of that. I don't know. Maybe this is a good question for you. Whenever they're looking at a Schedule Engine, or maybe you have something built out in your website where you can go through a funnel.
Yeah.
How often so a well-trained CSR can handle price objections.
Yep.
But how often do you see somebody bounce once it comes to a price objection, or can you tell that very easily?
Yeah. So we pull in all the form data, all the chat data, so we can see the chat transcripts and we can see if that comes up. It's interesting. I don't have a data point to say this percentage of chat leads dropped, but what I can say is that the average ticket for a chat lead tends to be a lot higher, and it tends to be from a new customer.
That's
One
a
of our
lot
clients-
higher than.
Phone leads, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and this is not to denigrate. Phone is still the preferred choice. Again, no matter what a customer does, whether I like it or not, or you like it or not, it's what they want to do, and we have to be ready to serve them based on how they want to be served. I think everybody knows that.
Yeah.
So phone is still the dominant channel. But we had a client that wanted to cancel chat because they just didn't believe that someone would come in fully through chat and do a replacement. I've seen dozens and dozens of those. I've seen hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue from those. They ended up not canceling. So I think we're going to get to that place where we have a bigger data set and we can put our data scientists to work and get that specific. But I think from a trend perspective, having data like this can help you make a decision. If you're like, hey, I'm on the fence about Schedule Engine, I want to add it to the site, I want to see what revenue it generates. That's what this is useful for. Hey, I want to add chat to the site. I want to see if it, does it take away from my phone leads? Generally, we don't see that happen. What does it generate? Can I get into some specific conversations? I can. But that's the way we look at it, is just, hey, revenue flow. And then you can experiment, but you can experiment seeing the revenue on the other side of that experiment.
And what's beautiful is once the tracking pixel is set up and you guys are connected through API or other connections with the CRM, the booking link, the chat service, whatever they have on the website, it's pretty much hands off and the data feeds in. Like,
yeah.
You don't have to sit there and be like, oh, did I do this? Or did I mark the call booked a certain way?
Right.
CRM, like, it takes the manual data entry part off your plate.
Yeah.
Now
you get data that you can make decisions with.
Is this going to work with most every CRM out there? And then are you doing the marketing, or are you working with the marketing that they have?
Yeah, those are amazing questions, Tersh. I appreciate it. So
this is why we invited him on the podcast.
Yeah.
I know these are great, and I love it. They're good questions. So the answer is yes, we are working with multiple CRMs. So we integrate with CRMs. We have some CRMs that are older and they're a server in the basement and pulling that data. Now, this is again, like we have skin in the game because we family members, and it just all bothered us. So we really wanted to come at this. So there's a lot of great CRM providers out there. Our job is not to bring them down. We're really good at what we do. Like, we're really good at this. However, as a contractor, you should be pushing your CRM provider to give access to what's called an API or a data feed that makes our job easier. And if they're not doing that, you should be looking elsewhere, because this can be the difference between millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, whatever impact that you have for your business.